They believed the hill was taken. They believed the enemy was broken. And they believed the war would soon be over. They were wrong. In the winter of 1814, high in the forested ridges above northern India, a British army learned a hard lesson, one that would echo far beyond a single battlefield. This is the story of Battle of Jaithak, a fight not for glory, but for control, survival, and pride. At the start of the 19th century, the balance of power in South Asia was shifting fast. The Mughal Empire had faded into weakness, and in its place rose a new force, one not a nation, but a company. The British East India Company ruled vast territories, commanded professional armies, and expanded relentlessly. But to the north stood a newly unified mountain kingdom. Nepal, under the Shah dynasty, had transformed from scattered hill states into a centralized power with a hardened military culture. Its soldiers, often called Gorkhali, were experienced fighters, shaped by years of warfare in steep terrain where roads were few, supply was scarce, and mistakes were fatal. As British and Nepali borders pushed closer, tension became inevitable. Skirmishes flared, disputes multiplied. By late 1814, diplomacy collapsed, and the Anglo-Nepalese War began. Early British attacks met stiff resistance. At Nalapani, a small Nepali garrison humiliated a much larger force, refusing to surrender and escaping intact. Shaken but determined, British commanders turned their attention westward. Their next target was Jaithak. Jaithak was not a city or fortress in the European sense. It was a steep ridge overlooking the region near present-day Nahan, crowned by rough defenses and surrounded by dense forest. From here, Nepali forces could threaten British movement and supply routes. The position was commanded by one of Nepal's most respected generals, Amar Singh Thapa. Veteran, disciplined, and deeply familiar with mountain warfare, Amar Singh understood something his opponents did not. In the hills, numbers meant little. Position meant everything. British commander Major General Martindale believed Jaithak could be taken quickly. His plan was simple: seize the ridge in a coordinated night assault, break the Nepali position, and open the way deeper into Nepal. The attack began in December 1814. Under darkness, British columns advanced up narrow slopes, through cold air and thick forest. But the terrain betrayed them. Paths were steeper than expected. Units lost contact. Signals failed. And waiting above, the Nepali defenders did not panic. As the British climbed, musket fire erupted from concealed positions. Shots echoed through the trees. Confusion spread. Some British units reached parts of the ridge, only to find themselves isolated, exposed, and under constant fire. One column was nearly destroyed. The Nepali soldiers did not charge recklessly. They fired, withdrew, repositioned, and struck again, using the landscape as a weapon. British officers fell. Command broke down. By morning, what was meant to be a decisive victory had turned into a costly failure. The British tried again. Over the following weeks, artillery was brought up. Camps were reinforced, but every movement was slow, exhausting, and dangerous. Supply lines stretched thin. Morale dropped. Jaithak refused to fall. Amar Singh Thapa did not need to defeat the British outright. He only needed to deny them success, and in doing so, he exposed a truth the company's officers were beginning to fear. European-style warfare, tight formations, heavy guns, rigid plans, did not work in the mountains. Eventually, the British adjusted their strategy. Rather than forcing Jaithak directly, they focused on surrounding positions and cutting off support across the wider front. By early 1815, Nepali forces withdrew from Jaithak, not in defeat, but by order, preserving their strength for future battles. Militarily, Jaithak was not the largest battle of the war, but psychologically, it mattered enormously. British commanders now understood they were not facing scattered hill fighters, but a disciplined, resilient army led by capable generals. Every advance would be slower. Every victory would be costly. The war dragged on until 1816. Through sheer resources and pressure across multiple fronts, the British eventually forced Nepal to sign the Treaty of Sugauli, losing significant territory. But Jaithak left a mark that treaties could not erase. British officers began to speak with respect, sometimes admiration, of Nepali soldiers, not as rebels, not as irregulars, but as warriors. Within a few years, the British would begin recruiting Nepali soldiers into their own ranks, a legacy that continues to this day. Jaithak did not decide the war, but it changed how it was fought, and it changed how Nepal was remembered. History often focuses on who won and who lost. But battles like Jaithak remind us that resistance itself can shape history. In the hills above Nahan, an empire learned humility, and a mountain army proved that courage, discipline, and terrain could stand against overwhelming power. If you enjoy cinematic stories of forgotten battles and hidden turning points, consider subscribing for more chapters of history rarely told. And let us know in the comments, was Jaithak a retreat or one of the most effective acts of resistance in the Anglo-Nepalese War? Thank you for watching.